Well, it looks like Manchester United have turned a corner. I cannot believe it. Man United are sitting fourth in the league at the moment on 44 points after beating Tottenham Hotspur 2-0 at Old Trafford today. And you've got to just take your hat off to Michael Carrick. I think that's his fourth victory since becoming the interim manager at Man United. And what a difference and what a change that's made for them. And I'm sure their supporters and their fans will be looking at the results and looking at the way Man United have kind of played today, especially, and think, you know what, you've got to just maybe consider Michael Carrick as a potential permanent placement at the helm at Manchester United, because they are looking very strong at the moment. The players that they've got are putting in a shift. I've sung his praises time and time again, and I think he's doing phenomenal. And that's Mbuemo. I think he's doing phenomenal at Manchester United, and he's proved it again today. And yeah, it looks like Man United are doing very well. But you've got to kind of look at the contrast between Manchester United and Spurs. So United and Spurs had an appalling season last season, but I think Spurs were rescued last season. They saved their season because they won the Europa League. So they kind of saved their season. But at the end of the day, a club like Spurs finishing 17th in the league is not good enough. And that result ultimately cost Ange Postecoglou his job. And then they brought in Thomas Frank. Now, I said, I would have preferred Ange to have stayed on and kind of build on the momentum of winning that cup. But unfortunately, the board had other ideas and they let him go. Okay, rightly so, based on the Premier League results. That's fine. So you've brought in a new manager, hoping for change and hoping to kind of steer the club in a different direction. But it hasn't happened. Spurs at the moment, they've played 25 games. They've got 29 points and they're literally 6 points away from the relegation zone. And if they don't buck up their ideas in the next couple of weeks, they will find themselves in a relegation dogfight. 1,000%. Tottenham will be in a relegation dogfight 1,000%. And they may not be as lucky as they were last season. And you can look at the contrast between Man United and Spurs. Both were both were appalling last season. Both were absolutely appalling last season. But look at one team's gone out and they've made the right acquisitions. They've invested in the right talent and they're reaping the rewards for the investments that they made. And now they're in the top 4 of the Premier League and they're looking like one of the better sides in the Premier League. Whereas Spurs, on the other hand, they've gone backwards. It's a regression. They've absolutely gone backwards. I said, you know what? You can bring in any manager at Tottenham. You can bring in any manager at Tottenham this season, and it's not hard to finish above 17th. But Thomas Frank is proving me absolutely wrong. It's looking like it is hard to finish above 17th. Because he doesn't look like he's done anything at the club. Okay, you can argue and say, yeah, Tottenham have got a massive list of injuries, and they have. Kudus is injured, Kulusevski is injured, Richarlison's injured. Not that he makes much of a difference, but Bentancur's injured, Maddison's injured. So the list goes on and on and on and on. And you know what I mean? You can argue that, and I accept that. Yes, they do have a lot of injuries, but at the same time, they do have a good starting 11 that can go out and get results. A club like Spurs shouldn't be languishing in 14th place. You don't do all that work in the past decade of qualifying for Champions League after Champions League, getting into a Champions League final, doing all the work that Tottenham have done, and then just to go back into 14th, 15th, and potentially a relegation dogfight. I don't think it's good enough for a club like Spurs. And look at how Manchester United have done what they needed to do. Now, it's almost, I wouldn't quite say they're back in the big times. It's not Fergie days again. Not just yet for Man United, not just yet. But at least you can see the performance. You can see the way they played against Arsenal, they got a result there. You can see the way they played against Manchester City, they got a result there. The team are playing like a team reborn and they're playing with some belief. And rest assured, if they carry on this way and maybe give Carrick this permanent job as the new Man United manager going forward, they may be a force to be reckoned with in the future. You just don't know. You just never know. It could be a new manager bounce. It could be, but we'll judge that at the end of the season. We'll judge it in May to see where they are. But for me, I just think they have the right players with the right mentality and the right attitude, and they all want to play for they don't have any prima donnas. They all want to play for the shirt. They want to play for the badge, and they are delivering, most importantly, on the pitch. Whereas Tottenham, I don't know what they're doing. You know, Romero's supposed to be captain, and he gets himself sent off for a reckless challenge. You're away at Old Trafford, and you do that. You know, you're supposed to be leading by example. That's not leadership. That's not leadership. And he's always been a problem in terms of the way he plays football. You know, he's always gung-ho, isn't it? So, but that's just him. That's what he's like. But at times, you know, you've got to rein it in a little bit. You've got to rein it in a little bit, especially when you're at Old Trafford playing against Man United. You know, Tottenham aren't going to beat Man United with 10 men. It's already a hard task with 11 men, let alone 10 men. So, yeah, it's you know, it's a case of one team building on their disaster of a season last season and another team not making any change and still kind of maintaining the same standards as last season. So I don't know what Tottenham need to do, but they need to do something quick. Otherwise, they will find themselves in May in a relegation dogfight. And that's not good for a club like Spurs. But for now, Manchester United look like they've turned a corner. They are playing positively, winning 2-0 today. You know, they are in the top four, and they are only a couple of points behind Aston Villa and Manchester City. I think Arsenal are far gone. Yeah, they are far gone. I can't see Arsenal not winning the league this season. If Arsenal don't win the league season, it'll be because of their own doing. And if that's, well, essentially if they bottle it, but I just can't see that at the moment because they look very, very strong and they're just getting results, win after win after win. So, but Man United, yeah, you take your hat off to them. They've turned things around. They're back in the top four and they're looking very, very strong. And they've had the last 4 results have been very, very positive. So, but that's the order of things at the moment. But Spurs, you guys have got a lot to do, man. You've got a lot to do. But for now, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you very much.